Yeah. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Making an Impact. I am your option C for the evening, Defoe, Cody Defoe. And on this side, we have the natural Miss
No.
Astor Pizarro. How
How
are
are
you,
you
Astor?
doing?
Good.
I'm in a little pain because I fell at work yesterday, but other than that, Impact was good from what I saw because I couldn't see everything, unfortunately.
You're not supposed to take bumps at your shoot job. How many times do we have to tell you this?
I should have said I was training for wrestling. That would have made me look a little bit more badass at
There you
least.
go. There you
How
go.
about you
You just got
doing?
to make it look like you're taking bumps. I have a very needy little puppy right now, and by little I mean 2 years old, but I'm doing great. It was another great episode of Impact. Lots going on, lots of stuff happening. Everybody gunning for a championship, it appears.
Yeah.
You want to dive into it?
Yeah, you tell me where you started because I watched a little bit of it.
Yeah, the technical difficulties on Impact YouTube channel today just couldn't be avoided and affected Miss Astor's ability to watch the start of the show. But I'll kick it off. We opened the show as they announced on Twitter earlier this week with Josh Alexander coming out and addressing the Impact faithful. Came out, addressed the match from last Friday at Bound for Glory. His war with Eddie is over, as he put it. Eddie called it a war, and Josh ended this war. Also, appreciated him just talking about the call your shot and how he's learned from his mistake last year with Moose to watch his back and expected Bully to be there and was shocked by Bully not cashing in. This became a very chaotic open. This was reminiscent of what we may see from other places in terms of like a promo open that ran about 20 minutes. We had Josh called out Bully, demanding to know why Bully didn't cash in and take advantage of him. Then you have Macklin come out saying that Bully shouldn't have won it all and he should be the next one to get a shot. Then you had Moose come out and say that, sure, Macklin beat him recently at a show, but that doesn't matter because Moose is still a former world champion and Macklin's not. And then you have Bobby Fish come out, and I'm not entirely sure. Like, the Bobby Fish part was weird to me because he basically just came out and reiterated what everybody else said. He's like, yes, Moose, you said you're a scumbag? You are a scumbag. Yes, Macklin, you probably do deserve to win. Yes, Bully Ray, you have lied to stab people in the back before. Yes, that makes you a scumbag. And yes, Josh, you have everyone gunning for your title, including me. And before anyone else can actually say I challenge you to a match.
Yeah. Before we can, I also want to say thank you to Ed, the who we have here in Parrish, and Mel, of course, for being in the chat with us tonight. Yeah, I didn't know how I feel about Bobby Fish coming out of all people. Like, it made sense for Bully to come out. It made sense for Steve being the last one in the match with Bully to come out. But then Bobby just felt random. It felt like kind of like I don't have a lot of time here, so might as well get the title shot before I leave kind of situation for me. Maybe that's the vibe that I got when he came out. His promo wasn't great, and he was kind of dancing at a moment too. I don't know what the heck that was. It was really awkward to begin with. I really didn't enjoy the Bobby Fish part of the promo. Other than that, everything was well done.
Yeah, it was a little awkward having him out there, and he didn't really have much of a point of his own to make. He just, like I said, just reiterated everybody else's thing. I did enjoy most of the points that everybody else brought up throughout, though. I understand why Bully needed to give a full rundown of his accolades and his history and who he was, because he's been gone for a while, and you do have a lot of newer, younger fans coming in that sometimes when you have these old guys coming back to make an appearance, um, they need to re-identify to the crowd that I'm a multiple time champion. I did this. I've been all these places. I'm a 2-time Hall of Famer. Good for Bully. The major theme of the night definitely seemed to be Bully Ray. That was something that was just a talking point. It ran through the entire night. Can he be trusted? Should he be trusted? Should Josh trust him? Can Josh trust him? Nobody else trusts him. Everybody's going to Josh behind his back saying, don't trust him. He's going to stab you in the back like he's done everybody else before. And Bully out here saying, I came back because I've stabbed everybody in the back before. This time I came back to do it right. I want to make it right, and I want to do it the right way. I don't know if you want to bring it up now or want to bring it up kind of later on, but I am curious to know where your thought on this is. in terms of should Josh trust him?
I feel it's gonna end up being that kind of storyline that everybody's warning him, and he still lets his guard down because of like Bully's actions. He's probably gonna end up saving him and helping him while this is all happening, even though people are warning him. And then in the end, he's still gonna get backstabbed and just like everybody's gonna tell him, "I told you so," kind of situation, which I don't like. I'm like, I understand it's very predictable with Bully, which is the part that I don't like about this. I like this promo itself. I would have done without Bully in there. Bully hadn't won that match. I would have done with just Steve and Josh because I feel like they had a chemistry and that they had a good back and forth. So I really enjoyed that part of it. Just like I could have done without any Bully Ray involvement in here. That's the only part. I'm still bitter about him winning Bound for Glory. I'm sorry. This is not it for me. But other than that, um, it just I feel like it's gonna end up like him turning on Josh, even though he's probably gonna try to earn Josh's trust, but he's gonna end up, backstabbing him in the back. Like I said, they chance that they can turn on Josh. But
I'm actually the opposite of you, Astrid. I still think this is going to end up being something where the trust gets broken, but I think it's going to go the other way. I think it's going to be Josh gets too paranoid and just doesn't ever give Bully Ray the benefit of the doubt, and maybe like shoves him, like turns and snaps on him in the heat of a melee or a brawl or something, or hits a move on him or something along those lines that Bully keeps doing and keeps going out of his way to try and show Josh he can trust him. And Josh is just so paranoid looking over his shoulder that eventually it just bites him in the backside and it turns into something where maybe he doesn't turn heel himself, but he's the one that makes Bully snap on him just by being so paranoid. And finally, Bully's like, no, I gave you every opportunity. Now it's your own fault.
I mean, that could make it interesting if that does happen and when they go that route with it and just give something different for Josh's character too.
Yeah, no. And then I did want to mention, they did point it out on commentaries that this was the very first ever, actually, I think Macklin himself pointed it out, this was the very first ever appearance of both Josh Alexander and Steve Macklin in the Impact Zone in a ring together at the same time. Nice. So they've kept them apart for this long, ever since Macklin's debut at Impact, and they've finally put them together. And I do think, like I said last week, I think we've got to be heading towards Macklin being Alexander's opponent at Hard to Kill. They've set him up as this undefeated badass that he's just taking out challenger after challenger, tag him and bag him, and make his way up to the title.
Yeah, and it does make sense, especially like I said during that promo. I feel like they had a lot of chemistry and they had a good build up, as it was like a good foundation towards it. So I'm hoping to say for Hard to Kill because that would be super interesting.
Where do you think Moose goes out of all this? Because Moose seems out of place here. He's lost to Josh now. He lost the feud with Macklin and Callahan recently. I don't know if Bobby's sticking around long enough for Moose to end up having a long feud with him. So where does Moose go out here, talking about how he identifies with the last couple of years he's modeled after Bully Ray, and he's made himself a scumbag based on the success Bully Ray had being a scumbag. Like, how does he fit into this?
I was thinking about this when the match was happening at Bound for Glory because I feel like it was kind of odd to have Moose in there because I feel like they'd be building him up so well in Impact for him to be in the match just like that. I thought that was odd, and for him to lose it as well. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like he's in limbo right now because you don't want to put him in the title match again right after everything with Josh just ended. And there's so many people that could be lining up with Josh that could make it interesting, like we have with Bully and Steve right now, compared to Moose again. So I feel like it's in limbo at the moment, and just like I hope the Sammy thing is over because I feel like how many times have they faced each other by now? It doesn't make sense to continue it at this point. So I feel like I don't know what they have for him because I didn't see him tonight, right? Because I missed half of the show, so I can't even say.
Yeah. No, it was like he was out for that. He didn't come back. The only thing I could see would be that's how they keep Macklin occupied for the time being because they haven't necessarily been the one-on-one. They were in the trio where Macklin was attacking Callahan and Moose was attacking Callahan, and they kept telling everyone they weren't allied. And then they had the triple threat at Victory Road, but I don't know if Moose and Macklin have directly feuded at this point, and that it might be a way to just keep Macklin occupied until Josh takes care of business now with Bully and the Call Your Shot, whenever that ends up being.
Yeah. I mean, that could be it because I feel like this seems like they have nothing for him right now.
Yeah. So after this segment was done, they gave us a quick flashback to the Before the Impact, which neither one of us actually caught, just showing us that Motor City Machine Guns took out Shira and Raj Singh. Sabin finished off Singh with a cradle shot while Shelley was holding Shira on the outside of the ring. Then they cut to the backstage where they have Sabin and Shelley being interviewed. They basically just talk about how they never should have lost it Bound for Glory, that the Kingdom cheated to win. They're going to go to Scott D'Amore's office and demand that they have a rematch right now. And as they approach D'Amore's office, Rhino and Heath are walking out of the office, and they stop to talk to the Motor City Machine Guns and mention the fact that, oh, you know, you're going to have to wait because Scott just gave us a match for the tag titles next week. We said at the beginning of the year that we're going to be the champions before the year is done, and now we have our chance. I like this. I do. I like that Heath and Rhino are finally like the long-term storytelling. They said it at New Year's last year that 2022 is going to be our year. We're going to become tag team champions in 2022. I like that we're still playing the story off 10 months, 9 months later.
Yeah, I feel like it's good to revisit it, but it made me think of like, you get a title shot, you get a title shot, everybody get a title shot tonight, apparently, because that seems like the theme that was going on in tonight's show for some reason. But yeah, I thought it was interesting. Like I like how they brought that up because I haven't been able to call up that far yet. But I like how they brought that up later, just like to the fact that like we're gonna make this happen before the year's over, and it's like one of those things. Like even just like as a regular person, you think about now, and you're like, did I make all my goals happen? And you kind of revisit that list that you have of resolutions. You're like, which ones can I make happen before the year ends? So it's nice to see that happening with them in here as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, you know, we all kind of forget about New Year's resolutions until it's time for the new year to make them the new ones for next year. So it definitely is just a nice nod to still be talking about a New Year's resolution at the beginning of October.
Yeah, I wanted to go at Parrish's comment on this too. Thoughts on Honor No More potentially leaving and Mia Yim being a free agent. Any news if they're being signed or staying? Yeah, I was talking to Cody about this. I thought it was super interesting that they haven't mentioned anything about Mia so far, anything about Honor No More either. And this was taped the day after the pay-per-view, I believe. So we haven't heard anything else from them. They keep teasing on social media about what's going to happen next. We also have, I believe, Chelsea Green's going to be a free agent soon, and if she doesn't get her contract renewed, so is Diana. So I think it's interesting to see that they have a huge amount of people so far that they have been highlighting for the past couple of months that are in the verge of like being free agents. So do they just keep them or let them go back, or some of them go to WWE now that they have Triple H in charge? So I think that will be interesting to see going forward. What do you think?
Yeah, the one thing I always love about Impact is that they don't tie anyone down. They don't sign these long-term massive contracts typically. I know the news just broke today that Chris Bay has signed a multi-year extension to stay there, but that's rare and hard to see, except for like the really big names. But it keeps everything fluid and moving, and you don't ever have to worry about the product getting stale. They have a relatively small roster, but they keep the rotating door going enough that you have that. And unless one of these talents gets a long-term major deal with one of the major promotions, there's always the opportunity that they're still going to be hanging around and coming back to matches, even if they're not on a signed deal. I think that was the case with Black Caruso. I remember he earlier this summer had come out that he was done his contract, but he's still been around. He still shows up for random appearances here and there. He's not tied down to a contract yet, I don't believe, or nothing that's officially been announced. But that opportunity is still going to be there. Obviously, for guys like Taven and Bennett and Maria, those are bigger names that could draw interest from another company. Obviously, Bennett and Kanellis have been in WWE before. Taven is a former world champion in Ring of Honor, so there's a lot of interest there. And Mia Yim has been everywhere, that she could go anywhere and be in a championship picture right quick. So it'll be an interesting kind of time and period now to go forward. Obviously, last year at this time, we had the whole Josh Alexander situation where his contract came up and everybody thought he was the most sought after free agent, but really he was just back in Toronto negotiating with Impact Management to come back all along, and it was played into the story. The big piece to me right now is that the Hard to Kill promotional videos are still showing Bennett, Taven, and Maria in a key role. So maybe some of the other pieces aren't going to be there. but I think the Kingdom is probably going to have this play into a story in some way, shape, or form and come back and make an impact at Hard to Kill.
Yeah, plus the fact that they're still champions too. So it's like interesting that they have a title match happening next week. So I wonder there'll be any indication about the contract status if it happens.
Yeah.
But I wanted to go to Parrish's comment on this one too. Would Josh Gresham make sense to debut and lead Honor No More if that happens? I think that'd be interesting because he just reactivated his Twitter not too long ago now again after everything happened with the Ring of Honor situation. So I think that'll be interesting, especially for him and Jordan to be in the same company. That will make sense for them as well. So who knows? That would be interesting to see him not only with Honor No More, but having him involved in the X division too. I think that would be a good one for him.
Given the history of Gresham when Honor No More first debuted, I don't think it makes sense for him to come back and lead them. If anything, I think Gresham would make more sense to be the guy to come back as things are starting to kind of show cracks in Honor No More and show some kind of distance. We've already seen the first cracks really showing between PCO and Eddie over the last couple months. I think Gresham could be the guy to come back and kind of put the final nail in Honor No More's coffin, because he really is the guy that personified that Ring of Honor, pure honor wrestling. I would love to see Gresham back in Impact. I really would. Hopefully he's at a place where he's mentally feeling up to it again. But as far as the Honor No More program goes, if it's not including the Kingdom and Maria and Eddie in their roles right now, I think they've kind of been the heart and soul of that group. I don't think it'll fit with anybody else that's coming in to take over.
Yeah, I think this was also interesting, Barry's comment. Thank you for being here, Barry, by the way. Impact knows its limits and works well within them, making a profit. It needs to build slowly and not change its business model much. Yeah, I think it's just like they know the people they can work with. And like, for example, with Mia, they said that it's an open door, so she might resign. You never know. So I think it's just a matter of like, not only that, but kind of taking a balance of like, do you want to have any outside projects like your Twitch, for example? That could be another thing. I know some of them are doing Twitch in WWE now, but not only that, but the scheduling and little factors like that could maybe have a lean towards resigning with Impact. You never know. But I think it's just one of those things that you have to weigh in more than just the wrestling part with Impact, but you have the outside projects too, and any outside things you want to do. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, it's a business at the end of the day. Obviously, everybody's in this to make money. Yeah, I've said it before in different places that my problem with Cody Rhodes when he left the other companies and ended up going to make more money elsewhere was that I hated that it was about money in that sense, but ultimately you can't fault somebody for doing what's best for their family. And at the same time, management has to make do with what they've got. And Impact has been doing it for 20 years now. And there's no reason to think that they're going to, step down and fall back. Bound for Glory was their most attended event. I think they said today in over 7 years that the attendance at Bound for Glory was their highest in-person attendance in that long. So it's not like they're taking a step backwards anywhere. They're definitely starting to really just make a name for themselves on the quality of their stories in wrestling and consistency, regardless of the fact of who they're putting out there. They're doing it with talent that other places aren't bringing on and taking on, and doing it at a high level, week in and week out, consistently.
Yeah, and I have to agree with Ed here. Impact is definitely the company that doesn't die. I feel like it definitely changes every now and then, but it definitely does not die whatsoever. And I thought this was interesting from Parrish too. I kind of forgot about that end of it. Anybody from NXT UK that's a free agent at the moment that could be great adds to Impact too. So yeah, that's an interesting one.
There's plenty of top name free agents out there, and there's plenty of other companies running around. You've got your MLWs. We had Richard Davies come back recently. You've got your GCWs out there. We've got plenty of Canadian top tier talent that could make that jump like Speedball at any day or time. We had Giselle Shaw. I've seen her wrestle here in my hometown 6 years ago as a local talent, just trying to make her way. And we've had Speedball making his way. They keep mentioning it on programming that he spent the last 5 years unable to get a work visa for the States, so he was stuck up here. That there's always big names that you could see any top Canadian talent make their way down there any day. Jumping on, so we had Tasha Steelz versus Killer Kelly in a no DQ match. I will let you. I don't know how much of this one you managed to catch or see or anything like that. What you did see or what you followed on it. What do you think of Tasha Steelz and Killer Kelly?
Yeah, I was really upset that I missed most of this match. I only saw the little clips on Twitter, but I like what the clip that I saw that they posted. It just like that tug of war they had with the chair, and then it hit Savannah, and then I think it was no, it was Tasha. She had the chain that she was putting on Killer Kelly there by her throat. But I love the ending. They posted the ending on Twitter, which I was surprised, but I love the ending of the submission there, and yeah, it just like. I hate seeing Sasha lose, but that was like the ending was really well done from what I saw at least.
Yeah. It was an interesting match. It's not the dominance we've come to see from Killer Kelly up to this point. Her and Tasha Steelz, she's really kind of putting on a little bit more work in these matches with Tasha Steelz and Savannah. That she's putting more time in. She's being a little more methodical in her stuff. It's showing that she's still got some work to do because she's not extremely smooth when she's starting to put a lot more moves together. But the story of this match ultimately was her overcoming the 2-on-1 in a no DQ with Savannah at ringside. Savannah actually is the one that had the chain around her neck to start the match, handed it off to Tasha. Every time that Killer Kelly really started to pick up the momentum, it was always Savannah from the outside that was coming in and putting Killer Kelly down, letting Tasha get the upper hand, and then Killer Kelly had to work her way back into the top position, just get shut down by Savannah again. So it wasn't until that tug of war with the chair where Killer Kelly managed to get Savannah out of the picture. Still got caught with the chain by Tasha, and then managed to just reverse the chain and put it into the submission herself. I just gotta shout it out to Killer Kelly because the one thing she does have, although her ring work is still kind of a work in progress, from a wrestling standpoint, her mannerisms and her character work are impressive as hell. She has that perfect blend of sexy yet terrifying down to an art that almost everything she does, I'm not sure whether I should be attracted or terrified.
It should be both, okay? Yeah, notice that towards the end because she kind of took a little bit. Tasha said she was like playing with it with her fingers before after she won. I saw that part in the little clip in the clip they posted on Twitter too. But yeah, I love that part of her character too. How she's like, she's kind of scary, but at the same time, you're like, should I be scared of you? And she makes you doubt yourself. But she does really well the character work so far from what I've seen.
Well, she did earlier on in the match. She had one where she got put down by Tasha, and she did the Undertaker style like straight sit up, but she did it with a smile and a laugh on her face the entire time she sat up, and she did it in a very sultry, like with her hands coming up behind her, and I'm just like, scary, but it's also kind of sexy.
Calm
And then
down.
she had
Calm
another
down.
one too where she did forget who else has done a similar where they slide out of the ring feet first backwards on their belly.
Mandy Rose.
Was it Mandy? And then
That's how she
also
comes in.
and because Indy does it the other way where she slid in on her fist with Dexter there. And so it was almost like the opposite of that she slid herself back out of the ring that way. That was the same kind of idea where it's like scary but not scary.
In going to Barry's comment, Tasha Steelz is a great around wrestler, good in the ring and on the mic. Her and Kelly could have a real classic feud. Yeah, I feel like so far it's been really great. I wonder how long it'll last after this and who's gonna get that momentum towards the knockouts title because we also have Mickey James to think about in that end of it as well. But yeah, I've been enjoying Tasha. I love how she blends not like her attitude and not only that, but like her identity as a Puerto Rican in her in ring and her gear, her entrance, everything. So I really have enjoyed seeing her on Impact. She's one of those people that I keep watching out for no matter what I see from her. But yeah, I love her character all around. And I'm enjoying Killer Kelly as well. I'm glad I know I'm catching up to her stuff from Impact now. And I know it's not much, but I'm just catching up on it.
Yeah, she's got that scary monster vibe to her, but not the same kind of scary monster vibe as like a Decay has, or the same kind of scary, like massive, dangerous monster that Masha has. She carries herself in a little bit different of a way that you should still be scared of her, but it's not because she's gonna break your neck. You should be scared of her because she's just scary. um, After this, we had a couple backstage segments. We got Swinger with Zicky Dice talking about climbing the giant at Bound for Glory. I'm not entirely certain which giant. I don't remember him climbing a giant in
Do I want to know?
the Call Your Shot Gauntlet. but they were talking with a couple like apparently I'm assuming an Albany sports team that has something that looks like Roman legionaries or centurions or Spartans or something. And then Dango comes up behind them.
Dirty
Uh,
Dango.
yeah, Dirty Dango was there, and he comes up and he was looking at Zicky Dice, and he talked something about he called them Skittles, and makes a comment about his outfit and would they appreciate that in the military. Dice offers for him to come back to Swinger's Dungeon to learn something about wrestling. And then the camera gets distracted as a couple of the yellow hoods that are supporting BBD are being taken out with a baseball bat by Sami Callihan. It's just messy. I'm sure there's going to be a point to this at some point that maybe we end up seeing Swinger and Dirty Dango wrestling. Obviously, Sammy's coming for EY. We've got a lot going on here and a lot of just crossover mingling of stories without really any substance.
Yeah, I like Dirty Dango's line. I have to write, like type it what he said. It's like, if I was in the force, I will give you a citation. I'm like, to my feels, don't tell me this right now. But yeah, I like how they used it from like one segment, just like from one, like from a set of characters here to another set here. And like right away, it was like so swiftly done. But yeah, just made me think like, okay, I guess Sammy's going against EY now. I guess that's how they move on from the feud with Moose and Callahan now. So thought that was interesting. Just like, I'm not attacking EY. I'm going by the followers first. So I wonder how that goes on the end of it. But I like how they just brought it in from one thing to another, just like in one segment there.
Yeah, this was maybe 60 to 90 seconds at best. It was a nice way to include like 5 characters and multiple storylines without really needing to do a lot with them. Just make sure they're still on screen and we know that there's still stuff happening with them. We also got the quick backstage where Scott D'Amore congratulating Josh for winning a Bound for Glory, but again, telling him to watch out for Bully Ray, that obviously he's known for his history. I think we've touched enough on that, so I'll just kind of quickly rush past that. And then we had the 6-way X Division match. And this match excited me. The talent in this match excited me. There were some big spots. A lot of it just felt really rushed to me. I love when we get the X Division open, that we can have like a little bit of longer time. We can really just, start the show with this kind of match and really just enjoy getting the speed up and the pace going and the thrill of the match in the big spots. It felt out of place here, kind of right in the middle of the show. There was the only really big things that stood out to me was the right before the commercial break where we had kind of everybody kind of cleared out to the outside. We had Black Taurus out first. We had him hauling Alex Zane out. We had Laredo throwing Kenny King out, and then Miguel threw Laredo out, and then Miguel threw Uemura out, and then somehow Zane's back in the ring again, and Miguel and Zane flipped and swapped over the top rope and out. And then there was the other one, which was just a really big 6-person corner cluster where somehow Alex Zane flipped over the top and neckbreakered whoever was at the back of the line as everybody else just like reverse DDG'd each other. And I'm like, okay, it's a fun spot, a cool way to kind of do something, but not really believable. That stuff like that, when you have to set up 6 people in the corner, it's really hard. Impact loves to do their massive multi-person spots like this, but it definitely hurts my kayfabe brain when I have to watch this and try and believe that this is actually being set up. Yuya Uemura is somebody, they specifically mentioned today that he's on excursion in Impact Wrestling. I hope he's around for a while. I love Uemura as a young lion in Japan. I'd love to get to see him stick around and actually grow with Impact before finishing excursion and going back home again.
Yeah, I saw that part of the spot you're talking about in the corner, and just I kept thinking, were they just trying to go for a Tower of Doom and it didn't work out, or what was the story there? Because it looks so awkward. And then when you think about it from this point of view, Kenny just was it a net breaker or something like that to Alex, and it looks so awkward. It's like you have all these people lined up, and in the clip that they showed, it only seems to affect Alex of all people, and it's just like everybody's just laying down. So just like, was it nap time? I don't understand what was going on in this part of it. And it's just like, so you have like, I think it was all of them in the corner, and only Alex is the one that got affected in the end. So just, it seemed like the buildup was for nothing for me when I saw that part of it, but I thought that was kind of awkward in the corner. And then I saw in the other clip they posted was the part with Alex throwing, I think it was a Laredo Kid into Black Taurus. I like that, like the speed of it and that end of it, like the pacing of it was well done. And I feel like even the ending was kind of like rushed in a way, because Trey just went for a move and it just like pin and win. And I was like, wait, that was it? It took me a moment to realize that he had won because I thought it was a 2 count at that point, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think it was Tom, it might have been Matt, but one of them specifically said it right as the pin was happening, right after the pin happened, like, don't blink or you might miss it. Hey, Miguel just won.
Yeah, that was weird.
It was a little chaotic. It was very rushed. It didn't feel like anybody really got a chance to get into any kind of rhythm. It just felt like a spot fest and then move on. Right after the match was done, we ended up going backstage to the parking lot and finding Kaz, Frankie Kazarian, arriving to the building. People, Mike Bailey approaches him in the parking lot, congratulates him on winning, tells him he's a great opponent and a worthy champion. He wasn't expecting like the fight or he expected a good fight but didn't expect to lose, but he's happy that Kazarian was the one to do it. Yada yada yada. Trey Miguel walks up just to point out that he just won that match, the X Division 6-way, and he's coming for that title again. Not much to say there right now. There's obviously some moving pieces in the X Division. There's still a ton of talented people in Impact. I'll leave that for the end because I know we've got more to this story to come.
Yeah.
So let's jump in. Vex and Giselle Shaw versus the Death Dolls. How much of this one did you get?
Well, I watched a little bit from your TV, from what I could see,
Yeah.
from what I could catch. But I like how in the storytelling in the match of having Giselle in there and the way she was involved with VXT. I like how they started that going on, and towards the end, when she's the one that Rosemary is the one that takes the pin is the first thing of all. I think that part was interesting because it's always like Rosemary is the one always losing from the team, so I think that plays a part of it in that end of it, and having Giselle taking doing the pin and winning the match for the team. I think it helps her out having that momentum of like that closure with VXT. Like, you can trust me. Look, I won the match for us just now. So I feel like that's what we're gonna hear going forward for a little bit. Just like, you can trust me. See, if it wasn't for me, we wouldn't have won the match. So I think that's what she's gonna be saying for maybe just a little bit now. But yeah, from what I could see, it was just another thing that I noticed with this one is just the way that Jessica and Taya just took Rosemary like she was nothing after the victory. That was kind of awkward to see. I feel like they should have taken the shot and just focused on VXT there. But yeah, I think it was interesting having them stand tall, especially having with the rumors of Chelsea going to WWE. But I like the storytelling they had in the match overall. You forgot you're muted.
Trying to mute it
You're
because
a parish now.
I have some feedback from my mic, so I'm trying to kind of remember to clear that up so that people can hear you talk to. No, I love the storytelling of it, especially like Bound for Glory when it was just the tag teams and Jessica and Taya won clean. It was a solid match. We had no complaints about it really coming out of that match, but there was still Rosemary in the corner was a distraction. So Vex had to go and get backup of their own, and now we get a six woman match, and Giselle beats Rosemary, the two who weren't actually in the tag team match. So it's interesting to see the three woman teams here playing out in this fashion, especially because Rosemary was the one that lost the titles when it was her and Taya as well. They had to get Jessica Havoc back, recruit that the three of them can all work together. But now maybe this is something where maybe there is some cracks. They're not still completely working together. There's still some outlying there from Rosemary, but we've got Giselle kind of slowly ingraining herself into this team with Chelsea and Diana. She's slowly just kind of forcing herself in with the two kind of mainstays of the Knockouts division for the last while. And to the point that the match tonight, they came out in matching gear. Not entirely, obviously. Vex still came out together and had their identical outfits, but Giselle still had the color scheme down. She had the idea of what the look was going to be and had something that didn't look completely out of place. Whereas the Death Dolls come out and Taya and Jessica have completely matching outfits. Rosemary's kind of tweaked her character a little bit to add a little bit more color there, but she still looks out of place.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a story I'd like to see going forward, and I wonder if this does come down to a situation where maybe Rosemary costs the titles, maybe Giselle somehow manages to get herself into a position where either a Chelsea or Diana isn't there, and she ends up being the one that gets to be in the title match.
Yeah. I can see that going
That,
forward.
you know, a Giselle and Deanna team, there's nothing wrong with that pairing at all in my mind.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, I feel like they
Uh,
could go so many ways with it. So I'm interested to see how the Giselle inclusion works going forward. But I really like the way it's starting so far.
yeah, so many talented women in this knockouts division that anyone at any time can put themselves in a place to be a champion. And obviously, Giselle, she's managed. It took her a little while to figure out where she fits. She's been through a few
Yeah.
feuds. She's had a couple like pairings here and there. She was hanging around the Influence for a while. She had her team with Lady Frost for a little while. But now she's kind of found a place where she really seems like she's getting in that groove and making herself just
Mhm.
ingratiate with the team, where she kind of was still an outlier with the other people that she was hanging around with.
Mhm.
Good evening, Mr. Bobby Munson. Thank you for dropping in. Great to see you. Hope your stream went well tonight as well. So once we finished with the ladies team match, we had, again, like I said, more Bully Ray action happening throughout the night. We had Bully backstage with Tommy Dreamer. Dreamer talking about how everybody's talking about how untrustworthy Bully Ray is. Everybody's saying he's going to turn. He doesn't mean it. He's never actually here to do the right thing. And Tommy kind of pleads with him and asks him, you know,
Mhm.
I know how you get when the title is there, when you have your opportunities, and when it's actually on the line, that they can flip that switch and just like, don't make me regret having your back. And Bully kind of takes offense to this. Like, have I ever made you look bad? Have I ever made you look like an idiot? Have I ever turned on you? And Tommy kind of steps back and says, no. And this ultimately led to the two of them that, you know, they wanted to go one more time as a team. Tommy wanted to like prove that trust with Bully and mentioned, you know, going one more time in the team. And Bully says, absolutely, let's do it. Let's go for one more ride. So I know you're not happy with Bully game, and I'm not quite sure of your thoughts on Dreamer.
Really?
What are your thoughts on Bully and Dreamer teaming again?
I kind of wish he would have, like, Tommy would have responded like, no, you didn't turn on me, but you turned on this one and this one and this one and this one, this one. You want me to keep going? Okay, this one, this one, this one. That's all I want him to say in my mind. But no, I like seeing that because it kind of feel like maybe when Josh sees the way that they team up, he's like, oh, maybe I can trust Bully because look at the way that he teamed up with Tommy, kind of thing. So maybe we'll see that, and so I'm curious to see how the match is gonna happen next week and how their chemistry is gonna be about, and like Josh's involvement, or maybe we see him kind of watching the match backstage, anything like that to kind of connect it back to Josh and the Bully storyline. But yeah, I'm not happy with it. You know how it is, but I'll have to, I guess, watch him when go through this for a little bit. But I'm hoping it'll be over before I think so.
I mean, I'm not usually one to praise a 51-year-old wrestler coming back into the ring and trying to win a championship, but in this case, I missed so much of Bully's main run in Impact Wrestling. The big thing I took away from this part, though, I forget if it was this part or was the opening segment, but where Bully talked about how he spent more time in Impact than he did ECW, than he did WWE, than he did ROH. He's never spent as much time in any one company as he has in Impact, and that was a big takeaway, and also kind of shocking to the fact that I really haven't seen any of Bully's run in Impact, because the heart of his run in Impact was during a time when I wasn't watching wrestling at all.
I like how
And
you said
so,
that, ironically, because I was there while he was a part of the Aces and Eights, and I was there for that Brooke wedding too, live watching it. So yeah, I was like, I think also when you think about that point of when he points out how long he's been in Impact, it shows his loyalty that he hasn't. Like when you think about it that way, it's like he hasn't betrayed Impact because he's been there that long. So I feel like that's another layer to like that trust and loyalty aspect of Bully Ray.
obviously, that's going to be a key story of this entire feud between him and Josh, is just the trust and the loyalty, and who has it and who doesn't. And I'm okay with it going around like that, because now, you know, you put it one way where you think he'll be the one to betray trust, and I think it could be the other way where Josh betrays trust, and it'll be interesting to see which one is the one to eventually break that trust between them leading up to the match.
Yeah, and going here to Barry's comment, one good thing about Bully, he's good on the mic and bring and engaging with the crowd, and Impact really needs that. I feel like he's the kind of person that whether it's positive or negative, he always takes a reaction from the crowd, which is one thing you want to have as a wrestler, and as somebody who's obviously in the center of it all, and just you want that reaction. So I know he'll always get it. I just think back of the aces and eights, and I can't unsee that because I was there for the whole thing. Um, and I was watching. I was going to the tapings and Impact, which were in Orlando in Universal Studios. So I was going there often while this was happening. So yes, I don't trust Bully Ray to begin with. I'm sorry. Nope.
Once we were finished with Foley and Dreamer, and they made the announcement that they would team together again next week, we went to Honor No More backstage with, we had Vincent, PCO, Taven, Bennett, and Maria all standing in a room. Kenny King wasn't there. Eddie Edwards wasn't there. Interesting kind of grouping of people to be around is that it was kind of the ones that were the first batch to show up before Eddie turned, before Kenny kind of made his impression made. These were the original 5 that showed up 10 months ago, and it's the original 5 now kind of on their own back there again. We had Maria talking about adversity and how they faced it since the day they arrived. We had Taven talking about the lack of respect and the fact that he's been with Impact for 10 months now. Scott D'Amore still won't come and shake his hand after a victory the way he did for Josh Alexander today. I had to make the note because it popped me when he referenced Scott D'Amore giving the tag title shot to Rhino and Heath, but referred to them as the redheaded Melvin and the hobbling hippo.
I totally didn't hear that because I was listening from your TV, so I couldn't hear everything. But yeah, that's a good one to pick up.
Yeah, no, that one made me pop. And then Bennett talking about how Eddie isn't here. They don't know where Eddie is. They haven't seen him since Bound for Glory. Hopefully he'll be back next week, but they're going to go out against the team of Heath and Rhino, and they're going to do right by Eddie and make it carry the message of Honor No More in Eddie's absence. Definitely interesting kind of pieces here. That Taven's talking about wanting respect from management. Bennett's talking about carrying the message of Honor No More. You have Maria just talking about all the adversities. You had PCO just like echoing random words in the background, and you had Vincent just standing there smiling. I don't think Vincent said a single word in the entire promo. He was just a visual presence. Interesting personalities, interesting dynamics in Honor No More. It definitely seems like we're seeing a little bit more of their individuality showing out. That if we are splitting the group, even if it is like if the Kingdom do come back as a team, but not as a part of Honor No More, if we have a PCO going off on his own, if we have a Vincent going off on his own, or the fact that Eddie and Kenny aren't really part of the group at this point and could still be in Impact doing their own things. Kenny hasn't really felt like a part of Honor No More except when he's in the multi-man. Everything Kenny's done so far since returning has felt like he's still fulfilling his own mission and just kind of hanging around with the group to be one of the boys.
Yeah, I realized that too when they came out to attack Josh at Bound for Glory after the match. It felt like Kenny's presence wasn't like there like that, and I feel like no matter when I see the attacks, it always feels like the Kingdom more than anything, and then Vincent, and then sometimes PCO. But I feel like Kenny's like, if you were to rank them, you see Kenny the least out of anybody in the group, and I kind of see that like very often. So sometimes I feel like I forget that he's part of the group, even though he's part of it. But it's just like whenever the attacks happen and the saves happen, anything like that, I feel like you don't see Kenny as often. I wonder why, to be honest. And it just like it made me think. You made me think about it just now with that point of the backstage segment too.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be an interesting match to happen with Rhino and Heath. I think the way it plays out, win or lose, the way the match plays out and the way it ends, it'll be very telling as to where these rumors of their contract situation are headed. Whether it's something where they're legitimately going to be leaving, whether it's something where they may take some time off and come back as a surprise somewhere down the line. It could go either way. Again, Impact is great at playing these stories around contracts and especially contract negotiations where making it look like somebody gets written off TV for a while, you expect they're not coming back, and then they can be a big surprise a month later.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of big surprises, one of the bigger surprises from Bound for Glory was Matt Cardona's return in the final slot of the Call Your Shot Gauntlet. And then his very soon thereafter shocking elimination by Bhupinder Gujjar. That led to a match tonight where they replayed that highlight of Gujjar eliminating Cardona in the gauntlet and set up for a one-on-one match kind of surrounding the Digital Media Championship as well. First things first, right off the bat, early in this match, Matt Roywolf made a comment about Cardona being upset coming back because he never lost his digital media title. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat or Astrid. If I recall correctly, Cardona lost the title. Cardona lost a match to Rich Swann for the Digital Media Championship, but him and Brian Myers absconded with the title. That Swann was a champion without a title belt. And then Cardona took the time off, handed the belt to Myers, let Myers take his match in what was supposed to be Cardona's rematch. Myers won, therefore beating Swann to actually keep the title that he never had to begin with, that wasn't his, and has now defended it multiple times since then. So Cardona still lost, right?
Yeah. I remember, like, I was thinking about this when I saw the advertisement for the pre-show before Bound for Glory, because I kept thinking, from what I've seen, because like I said, I haven't caught up entirely yet, but it was to that point, just like I kept thinking, okay, Brian has the title. I thought Cardona handed it off to him. I was like, so are you champion by default because of that? I didn't know that was a thing that could be done. That was hers. And so I thought that was interesting. And then I kept thinking back when Cardona was saying like he was returning. I kept thinking, well, is Cardona going to face Brian for the title? Because that would be interesting to see. It's like kind of like I handed it off to you, but you have to give it back to me now, kind of thing. So it was like, is that something that's going to happen sooner or later between them? And just like, do they face each other, or that she just goes, you did me a favor, so I'll do you the favor back, kind of thing. So I was wondering how that's going to play out on TV with them.
But he wasn't actually the champion when he handed the title.
Yeah.
Swann was the champion. He was handing Rich Swann's title to Brian Myers. And then, in that sense, let Myers take his guaranteed rematch for the title. And so, did he give up his rematch clause too by letting Myers take his rematch? And so Myers won that. Myers became champion legitimately. But is Cardona still owed a guaranteed rematch from losing the title and never actually getting his rematch, or did he lose his rematch because he just let Myers take his place?
The math is not mathing, as my sister would say. Something's not working out here.
In this match, obviously, we had it was a decent match. They matched up well. Gujar, I think, is really kind of finding his place in the ring. I've enjoyed his growth over the last few months. I think he's going to be somebody that still has a very high ceiling. He's still finding his place in the company. I think his mic work and his talking. Obviously, they tried to put Raj Singh with him, but played the story out that Singh went with Shira instead, and Gujar wasn't interested. I'm not sure that Gujar is in a place where he can talk really well for himself yet. I'm not getting a ton of personality. The couple interactions he had with W. Morrissey a couple months ago before, I think it was a tag match they had just before Emergence. There was a few different interactions we've had with Morrissey and him before Morrissey left for other opportunities that they gave him a little bit of chance to talk, but the match itself and the ring work for him, I still think is solid. This match ended up ending with Brian Myers coming out, showing off his major players shirt again, and distracting Gujar long enough for Cardona to hit the radio silence and the pin, and then Myers and Cardona celebrated, one on each corner, with Myers holding up the title. Obviously, Cardona does still value that title, so these two just got together after being enemies for so long in Impact that they finally came together as a team. I don't know that I necessarily want them to split over the title right now. I think I'd almost prefer Myers to lose that title, and maybe we actually get the major players being someone in the tag team scene going forward. The tag titles, I feel like our tag team scene is starting to get a little bit stale again and needs a little bit of a shakeup. So putting the major players in there with your Motor City Machine Guns, with your Bullet Club, with your BBD, with your Kingdom and Heath and Rhino, we can have just one more layer to that again.
Yeah, I feel like when I think about options when it comes to like Cardona saying about the title, it just makes me wonder, is like I said, does he hand it off to Brian, or does he go, we got to face each other soon for this title, and just kind of like play it off like we're friends, but the title's still on the line kind of situation, and not necessarily split them up, because I feel like they could easily do that between them, because like you said, they just feuded not too long ago. I just like, you don't want to see this again, even with the title involved, when it just happened recently, and it's still kind of fresh in a lot of people's minds. So I feel like either you have to leave like a gap in between there to make kind of people forget a little bit of what happened before, and have other people face Brian? Or do we go just like, oh, we're friends, but this is my way of handing up the title to you. We'll have a match together or something like this. But I feel like for this one particular, they could go in so many different ways. They have a couple options of the way they can do it. But yeah, I think it's interesting to think about like having Cardona and wanting that championship that his best friend has now, I guess, if you want to call him best friend at the moment. Forgot you're muted again.
You're just talking really quiet. You just can't hear me.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where the promo will fit in here, so I'm gonna just throw it in here right now. That they made the announcement tonight. Tickets going on sale. That they are going to be recording another episode of the IPWF, which I know you're not too familiar with. They've only run a couple episodes over the last few years. I managed to catch the one last year. I am a fan. I love this idea of a fun show where they go back. All of the wrestlers are different characters in an 80s style wrestling indie fed, old school regional territory kind of vibes. I know last one they had like Josh Matthews was back on commentary again, and they had all of the crazy wild shenanigans of the over the top characters that we would have seen back in like the 80s wrestling. I assume this will probably be something that if it's being filmed end of November, it'll probably be an episode around Christmas. Definitely try and mark it on your calendars. Look out for it. Keep an eye for IPWF, which I think this will be episode 3 or episode 4. It's a ton of fun, and if you enjoyed wrestling in the 90s or the 80s or back then, it's not something that's a big thing. It's not made a big deal. It is just meant to be pure fun shenanigans, and it's a great time in the holiday season. We had a Mickie James interview, and we had her back there talking about the women's title match from Friday, praising both Jordan and Masha for what they did, mentioned her match with Mia and overcoming, and how she's earned a ton of respect for Mia, that Mia put up a great fight. And then we had Deonna, Chelsea, and Giselle show up to ruin the party. Deonna talked about her list of accomplishments and how she is the top tier of Impact Wrestling in the Knockouts division, that she's multiple-time champion, and she's beaten Mickie, and she's done this. And then she points to Chelsea, and the one big accomplishment Chelsea Green has is, oh wait, beating Mickie James. I did find it interesting that we had Giselle there, and that they didn't actually talk about Giselle doing anything of like anything like that. Maybe it's something where we do end up seeing Giselle be the one that her big accomplishment ends up being to retire Mickie James. That would be a huge thing to put Giselle over for the future. It could also be something here where Chelsea Green, if she is leaving Impact, could have that, career versus career almost against Mickie James. That, she talks about how she's beaten Mickie already, and she's going to be the one to retire Mickie, and Mickie turns it around on her and says, well, I'll face you again, but let's make this both of us. If I beat you, you leave Impact.
Yep. I like two things for this. First, I like how they have like their matching colors, even backstage with their outfits. That was the first thing I noticed. And even then, like you said, the detail about Deonna not mentioning about Giselle, I think it also plays out to the fact that like we're best friends and we know each other so what we can talk about each other's accomplishments, but we don't know much about Giselle yet because she's still like working her way in the group. So I think that plays off well in that part of it. And it made me wonder, like, do we get to see in the last rodeo tour, which is what I'm going to call it because it's the Mickie James tour, do we get Chelsea Green and Deonna as the next people to face Mickie James as they go on for maybe the next pay-per-view or so. So I think that'll be interesting to play out later because I'm really looking forward, and I love watching this part with Mickie being the last rodeo as it is. So I would like to see her face, if she can, at least most of the knockouts on her way out, and if it does happen that way. And I think why not have Deonna and Chelsea involved in there? I think the only thing that would kind of I think that would be interesting, like the way you pointed it out with Chelsea Green, of like putting that career on the line and just like kind of like the career versus like lose or lose impact kind of thing, and just having Chelsea leave. And if, obviously she loses, then we know she's on her way to WWE as well. So I think that'll be interesting. And then thinking about it now is like, so we have Mia, that's a free agent that just left to face Mickie, and now maybe Chelsea could be the next one. So that'll be interesting to think about. And then Deonna after that. Yeah, there's a pattern here.
Mickie putting her career on the line against all of these knockouts, but these knockouts end up leaving because they can't take Mickie out.
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah. No, it's an interesting thought, definitely. Once the ladies were done, actually, we did get here too when Mickey actually challenged Chelsea to go again and challenged Deanna, one of them, to come and actually stand behind their words. I think it was Chelsea, whispered in Deanna and Giselle's ears and then
Mm-hmm.
mentioned, oh, wait, no, we've got a knockout tag team match coming, or rematch coming, so we don't have time for you. So we got the confirmation there that Giselle pinning Rosemary did give Deanna and Chelsea another knockout tag match opportunity, which again is an interesting piece there that they didn't actually pin neither of the tag team pinned neither of the champions, but somehow it still worked out that they're getting a rematch for the titles. So something to keep an eye on.
Hi, Papa Sparks. Thank you
Welcome,
for
welcome,
coming.
Papa. Almost at the end of the show here, but glad you could pop in. We've just got a couple pieces left to go over from the night. We had a quick backstage where Ace Austin, Chris Bay, and Juice Robinson looked like they were like via video call or Skype or Zoom meeting or something there, making the announcement that since Dreamer and Bully are looking to get tag team again, that Ace and Bay are a team willing to take on that champion or that challenge. So that's made official for next week that we have Ace Austin and Chris Bay versus Tommy Dreamer and Bully Ray. We also get the rundown from Tom and Matt at this point that we are getting EY versus Swan next week, and we're getting the Kingdom versus Heath and Rhino next week.
Dun, dun,
So
dun.
a couple big matches going on, a couple big tag matches. We've got Eric Young and Rick Swan, kind of something again that I believe is a fallout from the Call Your Shot and them eliminating there. And then we get into the main event: Josh Alexander and Bobby Fish. I will let you take the lead on this one again, Astrid, because this was a match I was so into this match I didn't actually take any specific notations on what was happening in it because I was just focused on the action.
Yeah, I didn't really I didn't take specific notes about it. I did notice when you were telling me in the chat too. Towards the end, I think it was Bobby doing the triangle like choke to Josh, but it just made me wonder if this is just kind of Bobby's way of going like, I'm gonna try to go for the title even if I don't win it, just because I don't know how long I'll be in Impact. Because I wonder how long he's gonna be signed with them or how long he's gonna be appearing with them. We don't know what kind of deal he has. So I thought that was interesting. Just like, here, we'll give Josh like a win for the moment because we're not gonna have Bobby win the match. And I think it was oh gosh, I forgot who it was. But in the commentary, they mentioned, "Oh, are we gonna have a new champion tonight?" And I said, "No, no, we're not. We're good. We're good with Josh. We don't want to change that from what's going on." Um, but yeah, I thought it was interesting of like Bobby having that title match of all people there. But yeah, just like overall, it was a pretty good match. And they got a pretty nice timing too, from what I saw.
Yeah, no, they got a fair decent amount of time there. I think they got almost 10 to 15 minutes on the show before the closeout segment. There, I think it was actually Matthew Raywell right before the commercial break when Bobby Fish hit him with the leg whip onto the entrance ramp. That right as we were going to break, and he's, "Can we have a new champion tonight?" And then we hit the commercial break there. Uh, it was a solid match. They definitely played up and played on the fact that Josh was still, after that brutal beatdown of a war that he had with Eddie, he couldn't possibly be 100% 6 days later. They played into that. They definitely had a lot of back and forth between them where they were both hitting big spots. It was technical, but it was also heavy striking at points that I enjoyed a little bit of the mix there. The finish of the match was really well done, where you had Josh with the ankle lock. You had he hit a big spot. He went for Earth. Yeah, he hit a big spot. He went for the pin. Bobby rolled over on top of him. Josh locked the ankle lock back in, and then Bobby rolls over and actually kicks the knee out of Josh to get him into that triangle choke. And Bobby finally breaks the triangle with a slam, grabs Bobby, locks him into the C4, and that C4. No matter who takes it, they always seem to take it in a way that doesn't look vicious. The way Josh locks that in and the ability of the talent that he's working with, they always land that C4 spike away. And today with Bobby was no different. But I almost felt like Bobby was trying to rotate away from Josh, and Josh hit the spike in a way that I think Bobby would have been better served rotating into Josh. and it just looked like, I'm like, my neck. Like every time that movie hit, I love it. It's one of my favorite finishers in wrestling. But every single time it's hit, I'm afraid for the guy who's taking it.
Yeah, I can see that too.
But yeah, like you said, I don't think anybody truly believed Josh was losing this match. There was no promotion for it. There was no build up for it. If anything, you would have thought Josh was facing Bully tonight or like somebody else. But Bobby Fish coming out and just declaring himself into this match. I don't know if this was something where we just knew that BFG and the Fallout were going to be in Albany, Bobby's hometown. So we brought him in for a month or a couple weeks here, Victory Road, a couple Impact shows, and then the shows filming in Albany, New York, and that's just his one-off Impact appearance, and then he's going to be done, or if he's actually going to travel and be with the show for an extended period. It would make sense, though, if he was just here for this short run, that you get him that title shot, you put him in a spot, you let him feud with Josh, and then you just move on.
Yeah. But yeah, before we go to the plugs, I did want to point out something that it's really dear to Mike, who's the one at head of Backbreaker Media, who we're working along with when it comes to making an impact. He did say that starting Wednesday, he's going to be doing the be part of the Solution Fundraiser campaign, which is going to be with Jack.org, which is to teach youth about suicide prevention. And the campaign is going to be up until the end of November. So any donations, any merchandise sales will go towards that. And he said he has a $750 and $1,000 goal. And any rewards are going to be announced during Rick Jewell's stream, 24-hour stream, which is November 5th. And for those of you that don't know, because I forgot to say it last time, because I was so nervous and it was our first show, so forgive me for that. Yeah, for us, I'm working with Backbreaker Media, so our show is going to be airing on Thursdays usually when it comes after Impact. Sometimes on Fridays, depending on the pay-per-views, like the big pay-per-views that we're going to be discussing. But other than that, on Mondays, you're going to get the replay on Backbreaker Media's YouTube channel. So check that out whenever you're on Monday. You can catch the replay if you missed it. And you can also catch it on my channel if you missed it as well. But yeah, I'm going to put here the little banner, which is the website, jack.org. But other than that, where can the people find you, Cody?
I mean, I'll give my plugs, but you're forgetting one thing, Ashley.
Oh, no.
You're forgetting the most important thing that happened tonight on the show.
Oh, yeah, true.
It's right there. It's in my name tonight. You forgot that I was cashed in tonight, okay?
Yeah, I was passed on. I was option A.
After the main event was finished, Josh finished off Bobby, and as he's celebrating the win, we get Frankie Kazarian music. So for anybody wondering why Kaz was in the parking lot arriving to the building when we ended the show and hadn't seen him yet, he finally gave us that reason. He walks down, congratulates Josh on winning, congratulates Josh on being a champion. I think he made a comment about Speedball for being a great opponent to him. And then it's not all fun and roses. I'm not just here to congratulate everybody. I'm here to cash in option C. We are getting Frankie Kazarian versus Josh Alexander for the Impact World title. That I was very curious when Kaz beat Speedball, because Kaz, coming across from AEW, he was somebody who isn't actually like a full-time Impact talent anymore. It was very weird for him to win that title at all. This makes a lot of sense as somebody who's an older guy who's been around. He didn't need to climb the ladder back to the world title. He's smart enough. He knows the quickest way to a world title match is the X Division option C. I'm excited for this. I'm always excited when option C is cashed in. I don't believe Kaz is winning this. I don't believe he's the guy to take the title off Josh, but I think this is going to be a fantastic match. I think Kaz is somebody that can always put on a great match with anybody. Disappointed we don't get Kaz versus Sabin for the title, which I predicted last week might be a thing. But this is a great alternative where we get to see somebody coming back who is an Impact original and getting that chance to go for a title again. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I thought it was super interesting. Like you said, it just reminded me back. I'm like, so this is why he won the match. Now that explains it. I feel like that makes me the full circle after the match. But like I said, it just reminds you of the theme that I had earlier. Just like, you get a title shot, you get a title shot. Everybody get a title shot against Josh, apparently. Like, who doesn't want to face him? But yeah, I thought it was super interesting. I thought about it when I saw him, and then you said it in the chat at the same time. I was thinking about it, and then he said, I was like, Cass as Josh is something I never thought that would happen, but I am loving the idea of it. So yeah, I'm excited for this. I don't think he announced when that was happening though, right? I think
No,
they
they
just said
haven't
like,
announced it. It'll
okay,
probably be for the next show. I forget what the next exclusive event on Impact Plus is going to be, but I would assume that's probably where he cashes it in. But yeah, as soon as he entered onto the ramp and he came out and he looked down at Josh in the ring and he pointed to the titles that he's holding up, that's first place my mind went was option C. He's cashing it in. But it's always fun. It's always a surprise when somebody does it too. You never really expect somebody winning it. Like when Josh had it for his extended run before cashing it in last year, it almost got to that point where he'd beaten everybody along the way, and the only thing that made sense was for him to cash it in. You never expect somebody to just win it and immediately go for cashing, unless they're Austin Aries, because apparently he does it every time. But we don't speak of him.
no, we don't know who that is.
I will give it though for myself. You can catch me here every Thursday night talking Impact with Astrid. We will be live on Friday nights immediately following the Big Four pay-per-views. Next time we will be live on a Friday will be Hard to Kill, Friday the 13th. We will get Astrid come in her best Ghostface costume and enjoy that one in all of the Friday the 13th glory. We were here Thursday nights otherwise, immediately following Impact on Access. 10:30 Eastern, 8:30 Mountain Time for myself. If you want to follow me, at Cody Defoe on Twitter, on Twitch. My Twitch still isn't entirely up and active, but I'm getting there. My Twitter is active enough. I post a lot of stuff wrestling related. I post with the hockey season starting today. I will be posting a lot of hockey stuff on there. So if you're an NHL fan, go and follow me there and we can chat some hockey as well. Football stuff, wrestling stuff, whatever I got going on, I'll be tweeting about.
I was gonna say the most I can give you will be this. That's it. That's all for me. No,
It's
for
Halloween
me,
month. I'm sure you can get a costume somewhere.
do you forget how tiny I am? I'm have to be kid size at this point. But yeah, for me, you can find me first Tuesdays taking over with Chris Parrish, is on Parrish's Twitch, so you can find that out. And then Thursdays here and some Fridays with you, doing Making an Impact. And then this Sunday, I'll be on Busting Out with Bobby and Parrish as well. And on the weekends, I do the NXT review for Women's Wrestling Talk. And I believe this Friday, we're going to have the interview with La Rosa Negra to close out for Hispanic Heritage Month of Women's Wrestling Talk. So watch out on the socials for that one. And then my Twitter is my name, like Astrid Pizarro, and my Instagram, Astrid Pizarro 20. We'll keep posting clips here and there of what, highlights of our show through the week as well. So we'll have more people joining us in the coming weeks, hopefully. But yeah, if you know anybody, let them, tell them about the Twitch channel to follow me and subscribe to the YouTube. Subscribe to Backbreaker Media on their YouTube as well for the replay. So yeah, any kind of support, we'll definitely appreciate it. Thank you, Bobby. Oh yeah, my people will get back to your people with my demands. I'm still in the process of that, but I'll let you know though. I'll let you know by Saturday evening.
I hear from my people that Astrid's people demand that she has her M&Ms sorted by color.
Yes. But yeah, no, I'm gonna have a list of demands. I just have to think about it. I need to be in my mindset for my list of demands on Sunday. But yeah, anything else that you got going on for you before we head out?
I just want to say thank you to everybody for joining us in the comments. Barry Monkey, Bobby Munson, Ed Price, Chris Parrish, Mel Ball, everybody who's popped in, left a comment. Obviously, comments always improve the algorithms on these streaming platforms. We love joining the conversation. We love hearing you in there. If you're watching this after the fact, definitely pop in and join us live if you get a chance. Leave a comment on the YouTube, on Backbreaker, or on Astrid's channel when you're watching. Let us know that you're there. Let us know if you're enjoying it, if you want to see something different, if we missed something, if you'd like us to do something that maybe you think could help us on the show. We appreciate the feedback here. Appreciate you checking us out, and we'll be back again next week.
So see you guys next week.